Minister Dame Harriett Baldwin.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I rise to say that we will not be opposing the increases to the national minimum wage or the national living wage. The national living wage being something that my party introduced to make work pay, and we celebrate the fact that the progress was made in ending low pay and that the Minister cited that from the dispatch box this evening. But as His Majesty's official opposition, it's also our duty to scrutinise the government on all matters. So I will have several questions for the Minister this evening. And in particular, I want to highlight that the work that the Low Pay Commission has done, for which I also thank them, was done before the Halloween budget of broken promises last October. After that budget, the increase to the national living and minimum wages, but also, of course, the measures such as the increase to national insurance, the Unison Assistant General Secretary John Richards welcomed the increase to the pay measures, but said, as it stands, the new legal minimum is more than the current lowest hourly rates in the NHS, in our universities and some other public services. This will give employers multiple headaches. So my first question is, what will the government do to address the pay implications of this rise on those working in the public sector in such important roles? The second question is the increase in the national minimum wage for workers above school leaving age, but not yet 18, is going up by nearly 18%. And on the 1st of April this year, the national insurance threshold for employers drops to £5,000 per year. And this means that an employer will have to start paying national insurance on any young person if they work for more than 13 or more hours a week. And because of this, businesses have warned that they're cutting back on hiring younger workers or indeed reducing the hours that they give to them. This risk is not faced by solely those who are in work, but also, of course, those who are seeking to get into work. So what assessments since the Halloween budget has the Minister made of the impact of the increase on young people's ability to access jobs? And what will the government do to make sure that young people or those looking for a job will not be penalised by this increase? This increase will significantly affect small and medium-sized enterprises. As usual, it looks to us that they will bear the brunt of the increased labour costs. It doesn't look that way just to us. According to the government's own impact assessment, small and medium-sized businesses will face 56% of the cost of the increase, despite representing only 37% of the share of employment. So this is another cost increase on smaller businesses that are already having to pay this government's national insurance jobs tax, the hike in business rates, and the impact of the measures from the Employment Rights Bill. In particular, businesses in the retail, hospitality and leisure sector, which are the businesses most likely to be paying the minimum wage. The government's impact assessment of the Employment Rights Bill, just to remind the House, states that they expect the policies covered within the bill to impose a direct cost on businesses of up to £5 billion a year. It also notes that on average these costs will be greater for those smaller and micro businesses. So can the Minister provide the House with a figure for the total cost increase of employing someone full-time on the previous national living wage because of these other changes that have been introduced by his government? This government has created a challenging business environment, Madam Deputy Speaker. It recognises this themselves when, in their own impact assessment, they state that there's some evidence of challenging business conditions for small and medium-sized businesses. Around 42.7% and 36.8% of micro and small businesses, respectively, reported having less than 3 months of cash reserves in September 2024. So we support the principle of fair pay for workers and for making work pay. However, after listening to businesses, we're concerned that the rises could impact workers and businesses in industries that are already facing financial challenges through a range of unintended consequences. It's easy for those on Whitehall to squiggle their pen, but combinations of all of these measures have real-life consequences for businesses across the country. The National Insurance Jobs Tax and Employment Rights Bill are piling on additional costs onto businesses and hammering the private sector, which we rely on to grow the economy. In summary, has the government considered the full impact of all these increases on businesses happening all at the same time? I fear, Madam Deputy Speaker, that tomorrow's emergency budget will be another wake-up call.